Welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We're going to be live on the radio in about 20 seconds, and we got a lot to cover. And we'll be taking your calls. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. We'll be live in 15 seconds. All right, stand by. 10 seconds-ish. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, the Steve Kane Show. Of course, this is where MAGA comes to talk. We got a lot to cover. I'm going to get into a lot on the program today, including Tucker Carlson calling Mark Levin out on the carpet. We're going to get to that in a few minutes because I'm so ticked off at the very self-important Mark Levin. That's right, I said it. You know, his catchphrase. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. But I want to talk first about this incredible Middle Eastern trip. And, you know, I don't think that anyone in the media, because, you know, they're so consumed with their Trump derangement syndrome, they have all this rage towards President Trump, they don't take a moment to even let soak in what this president is doing. And, you know, in the world, during my lifetime, there's been a few places around the world that there's always trouble in. And the place that has the most trouble is the Middle East. Always. You know, first time I was coherent enough is to remember problems in the Middle East is when the Iranians took the U.S. Embassy in 1979. I was in third grade in 1979. That's right. That's when Star Trek: The Motion Picture was released in movie theaters. It was a long time ago. A long time ago, 1979. Was Buck Rogers in the 25th Century released in theaters in 79, or was that 8? I can't remember. Well, anyway, 1979 I do remember, and I remember the American hostages. And ever since then, throughout my entire life, we've had nothing but trouble at different levels out of the Middle East. And when I throw in the Middle East, we're talking about the Muslim world. Okay, which expands beyond the Middle East in some instances. And no president has done anything to try to correct that. And the main reason that they haven't is because the military-industrial complex, which owns our politicians, which has owned our presidents prior to Trump coming down the escalator, want endless conflicts, endless wars, endless skirmishes, because that is how they make their money. And what President Trump is doing in the Middle East right now is forming a new NATO-like alliance, but a modern one. It's not exactly like NATO, but it's a NATO-like alliance, right? NATO's out of date, and those really aren't our allies in NATO anymore. Most of them. A couple of them are, but most of them are not. They're just ripping us off, stealing from the United States. But you saw what happened yesterday with Saudi Arabia. The amount of respect that the Saudi royal family showed towards President Trump was amazing, right? The crown prince met him at the bottom of the stairs with the purple carpet at Air Force One, shook his hand. He didn't even go to the airport when Biden went there. They had that honor guard on the horseback. The Saudis brought in a mobile McDonald's just in case the president wanted some McDonald's while he was over there. It was amazing. And it was a day of just incredible respect, not just for President Trump, but for the United States and the American people as well. And I watched President Trump's speech, which was a very good speech. And one of the things he announced, which he's doing, it's done, it's policy now. He's lifting the U.S. sanctions on Syria. And it was reported this morning he's going to be meeting with the leader of Syria. This plane gift from Qatar, this $400 million plane that President Trump says is worth $1 billion. It's probably $400 million without the upgrades, $1 billion with their upgrades. And as soon as President Trump stands on it and the value goes through the roof, the gift from Qatar is about, even though we have a military base in Qatar and we have relations with Qatar, but the airplane gift is another way to bond us even closer together. And, Iran is the root of most of the terrorism around the world. They fund almost all of it. Hamas, Hezbollah, all these things. Not only that, they have hit squads after the president because he took out Soleimani, their general. And we constantly hear about war with Iran. In fact, not only do we hear it, it's pushed by many politicians in this country. Even Israel pushes to bomb Iran. And President Trump is putting together this amazing alliance in the Middle East, this new NATO-like alliance. Started with the Abraham Accords in his first term, and he's continuing it now with this trip. With the entire Middle East, except Iran, on our side, Iran will be defeated. They're nothing. If they lose all their Muslim allies and friends, Iran, it's not going to work. And President Trump has found a way to bring peace to the Middle East without any military action, without any destruction, without any death. And that's pretty amazing. Certainly deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize. And they're still making a big deal about the plane from Qatar. To not take that plane from Qatar would be such an insult. Why would he insult the people of Qatar, the government of Qatar, and refuse such an amazing gift? And we got a call yesterday on the program, and a lot of people are saying this. Was it considered a bribe by France when they gifted the United States the Statue of Liberty? The plane is not a gift to Trump. It's a gift to the United States, to the American people, and it'll belong to the Air Force. Or at least they'll have direct control over it. This is amazing what he is doing. Now, I know that you're going to get a lot of negativity from the establishment, permanent Washington class, and the media, because the last thing they want is peace in the Middle East. And the Middle East is always good for them to make a buck because there's always some skirmish or conflict or rivalry that comes around from the Middle East from time to time, and the military-industrial complex love that. So what he is doing right now is absolutely amazing. Now, those of you anti-Semites out there, the Candace Owens types that say that President Trump is controlled by the Jews and it's Israel first, not America first. I promise you, Netanyahu's not happy with some of these alliances and friendships that he's making, President Trump, in the Middle East. President Trump is, and always it will be, America first. And this is just a spectacular trip. And you could tell the Saudi prince, he loves Trump. That was not just photo op, symbolic handshakes and things. You can see the glow on his face, the Saudi crown prince. And that is a love of Trump, respect for Trump, a love for America and the American people. Plus, they pledged like $600 billion in new business for the United States. They made the biggest military purchase in, I think they said in the news yesterday, in history. At least that's what was being reported. President Trump in the last 5 days has done so many incredible things. This Saudi deal, the military purchase, right? Freeing the last American hostage held by Hamas. It's amazing. And egg prices dropped another 12.7%. Inflation at its lowest level in years. Everything is what President Trump said it would be. This period we're living in right now, this is the golden age of America. So we're going to cover all of this and take your calls. I'm going to get into this Mark Levin, Tucker Carlson issue because it is important. It makes a greater point beyond Tucker and Mark Levin that has to be shared and discussed. And if you'd like to call in, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. Now, listen, Father's Day, most important day of the year, is right around the corner. Comes a month after Mother's Day. And, of course, MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane is the place to do your Father's Day shopping. The MyPillow slippers are amazing. There's two types of slippers. They come in many different colors, the moccasin and the slip-ons. I like them both. They're so comfortable. It's like walking around on my pillows. They're more than just slippers. They're made for all day wear. You can wear them everywhere, all day, outside. They're amazing. They come in many different colors. They have a whole bunch of sizes that are big and wide for bigger guys. They make a great gift for Father's Day. And there's a huge sale going on right now. The normal price on the MyPillow My Slippers is $149.98. Without promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, just $59.98. And plenty of time to order them for Father's Day. I know, that's amazing. $90 off with our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. All right, callers on hold. You stand by. We're going to take our first break of this Wednesday. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. All right. Hang in there if you're on hold. I'm going to go to the phones after the break. And the MyPillow My Slippers, these are great for Father's Day. There's not a dad on earth who would not want those for Father's Day. I'm telling you. Okay. We'll be back in a little over 30 seconds. Trying to catch up on my coffee. I'm a little behind. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Our number 1-888-465-2631. President Trump building a new NATO-like alliance in the Middle East, and he's doing it in all kinds of ways. And we're celebrating that. And we got a lot of other things to cover. All right, let's take some calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah. Good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Oh, hey, Richie.
When you give a monologue, I really listen closely.
Oh, here we go.
And the reason the fake news has been called fake news because they only give a one-sided thing. They don't lay it out and say, think about all what we're laying out. I agree with President Trump on this trip, okay? But once again, you said, you quote, why should President Trump insult the government of Qatar and like Qatar, I can understand what he's trying to do, but Qatar has financed every college campus uprising all over the world, Australia, United States, all these. Who do you think's paying for all this? Qatar. And Qatar government, to me, it's the closest ally, by the way, of the Iranians.
Uh-huh.
So if Trump is trying to pull them away from Iran, I understand that. But for you to sit there and
so you think by the way, the United States is funding that too. We fund the colleges where all the terrorist activities are taking place, like Columbia and stuff, right? So we're funding we're funding the same thing.
I agree with. Listen, I'm not anti-Trump.
So yeah.
But when you give a monologue, it's like you're.
So let's say that everything you say. Let's say that everything you say is true. Okay. Which, by the way, we have a military base in Qatar, so we do have an alliance with them already. So you think the best way to handle Qatar is to alienate them, be mean and nasty, refuse a gift of tremendous respect to the United States, you think that's the way to go? Further alienation.
No, I'll tell you the way. I am pro no war because I've been in one and I've seen it. But I think my own personal opinion is that the Iranian regime, and I'm not talking about the Iranian people, I'm talking about these crazy extremists that are sitting up there that have had proxies that are dying all over the place due to the United States policies, okay? I believe that they are going to try to get a nuclear weapon regardless, and I think the only way to knock it out is militarily.
Okay, see, all right. Hey, I appreciate the call, Richie. The rest of you on hold, stand by. See what I mean? That's the military-industrial complex warmonger crowd. War with Iran. That's insane. First off, they have a very active and large military, okay? That's kind of modern. You do not want to be starting a war. How did it go in Iraq? Right? That's right. They had the insurgency. How did it go in Afghanistan? 20 years of war. President Trump understands, what all these countries care about is respect and money and power. And they're impressed by him for a lot of reasons, but a lot of it is his financial success, right? And he knows how to bring countries on our side. Financial success, financial bonds, financial ties. Going around bombing people, what does that get you? I'm against war, but we should bomb Iran and start World War III. That's insane. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right. Once, twice.
Sorry about that.
Okay, you just made it. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Serwin, New Hampshire.
All right. What's on your mind, New Hampshire?
Oh, I'm just I guess I'm afraid any of all semblance of principles are being abandoned.
What are you afraid? What is being abandoned? What principle has you afraid because it's being abandoned?
Any principles that anyone claims to hold. I mean,
be more specific.
For a second and
be more specific.
I think we get pigeonholed by the groups we belong to, and you're going to assume things about me, and I'll assume things about you just because of.
All right. Well, obviously you're taking issue with me or Trump or something. What do you specifically take issue with?
Look, you're doing it right now. You're trying to provoke.
No, but you called me. And you're not really saying anything.
All right. Well, executive orders against targeting law firms, arresting a judge.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, let's talk about those. No, slow down. Let's talk. Hold on. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Birthright citizenship.
Let's talk. All right. Let's talk about those. Okay. The judge that was arrested. There were two judges arrested. By the way, the Wisconsin judge was just indicted by the grand jury yesterday. You know why those two judges were arrested, right?
One of them is attempting to allow an illegal immigrant to leave, tell him where the exit was.
One of the federal agents of the FBI and immigration, showed up at the courthouse with a warrant federal warrant to arrest a federal fugitive from justice. The judge obstructed that, lied to federal agents, which is a crime, then took the federal fugitive into her chamber and helped him escape from the feds. That's a crime. And just because you're a judge doesn't mean you're allowed to do crime. So she was arrested and has been indicted for that. And she's going to go to prison. Aren't you? I mean, don't you think when people...
Judge?
She lying to federal agents, obstruction of justice, and aiding and abetting a federal fugitive. If you help a federal fugitive evade arrest, you are a criminal. Right? So judges can't do crime.
Under the Alien Enemies Act, which was enacted under tenuous circumstances at best.
No, he wasn't being arrested. He was wanted on charges, which included, by the way.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
But this is all maybe in this particular case, but all this happening in general.
Okay,
right?
And the other judge that was arrested, which was in Arizona or Nevada, why was he arrested with his wife? What were they doing?
I don't know about this.
Okay, the other judge that was arrested, there were 2 judges arrested about 2 weeks ago. The judge out west, he had the Trinidad de Agua terrorist living in his home, so he was also harboring a federal fugitive from justice. Trinidad is a terrorist organization. It's like having Al Qaeda or ISIS in your house. So both of these judges were doing crime. Just because you're a judge doesn't mean you can do crime.
But what about all the judges that were ignored? I don't care so much about the
president's judges are not the supervisor of presidents.
That is not what the Constitution says.
Oh, really? What does the Constitution say? That the president answers to judges?
No, the president answers to the Constitution and cannot invoke the Alien Enemy Act.
Absolutely.
When we're not at war.
Absolutely. We are being invaded by terrorist organizations.
You know what President Trump said when asked, "Are you supposed to uphold the Constitution?"
What did he say?
I don't know.
I didn't hear him say that. No, he took an oath to uphold the president. The president takes an oath. Okay, all right. First dump of the day, Mike. First dump of the day. Oh my goodness. Liberals are big on that F word, man. Boy, oh boy. I mean, what is it with these lefties? What is it? You know, the United States has been invaded. Okay, we've been invaded by over 20 million foreign nationals illegally in this country have invaded our country. And the president is bound by his oath to repel foreign invaders. And that's exactly what he is doing. Now, I know you guys on the left, for some reason, have issue with that. Barack Obama deported millions of illegals, just like Trump is doing. And no one on the left took issue with it. No one in the liberal media questioned it. I didn't get calls from liberals, Democrats, progressives, whatever they want to call themselves, on the phones, on the show, taking issue with due process and president's authority. And Obama was doing the same thing. In fact, he deported more people than Trump has so far. President Trump has deported just over 100,000. Obama deported minimum 3 million, as many as 6 million. All right? Now, it is hurricane season, rainy season. Oh boy, it sure is. And I've been doing prep. You know, this weekend I'm cleaning out the garage and pulling my generator out and testing my generator. And I'm starting to load up on, bottled water and things like this, just in case. But if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof, and you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing and get that taken care of, having a safe, secure, leak-free roof is of vital importance when you get a hurricane. Even if we don't get a hurricane and we get a tropical storm, in a tropical storm, tropical storms will have hurricane strength wind gust in them. The hurricane is when you have sustained winds. The tropical storm, you still get hurricane strength gust. And if you've got a leak in your roof, you've got a loose tile, a loose shingle, that's an entryway for the wind. And that wind gets under there, boom, the whole roof's gone. Give Tom Laporta a call at Laporta Roofing. He'll never sell you a roof you don't need, meaning if you just need a simple repair, he will do it. He works with every type of roofing material on every type of structure, and he can handle a job of any size. And he's not just a roofer, he's a general contractor. And in the state of Florida, because he's a contractor, he is allowed to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. Isn't that something? It's amazing. It speeds things up a lot. So give him a call. Tom Laporta covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. This is his cell phone number, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, stand by. Yep, if you're on hold, hang in there, guys. We'll go right back to the phones after the break. Okay. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the chat. And guys, I put a link to this store in the description of the video. Maroxy, and you ladies out there, they have great deals on makeup. They're sponsoring the program today. They ship anywhere. Maroxy.com, that's Miroxi, and I put a link in the description of the video, so you can just go into the video and click the link. And they have great products, a huge collection, and very well reviewed, and they ship anywhere and everywhere. Maroxy.com, Miroxi, for all your makeup needs, ladies. And again, there's a link in the description of the video, all right? And thanks for supporting the sponsors. Greatly appreciated. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back shortly. In 1 minute, we'll be back. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Thank you. This is a nice shirt. I do like this shirt. I got up early to watch the series finale of Andor, which everyone's praising. I didn't think it was that great. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. And, of course, we're discussing this incredible job that President Trump is doing, forming this incredible new alliance in the Middle East. All right, back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, there you go. Sorry. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's just quite, this is Kevin. I'm from Massachusetts.
All right, Kevin. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Sorry, 1 second here.
1 second. Yes.
I just wanted to call and say something about Wartime Enemies Act, because last caller called about it and didn't seem to be fully aware of the issue. Had the right sentiment, but I just didn't really understand everything going on.
Well, the reason
so
you don't understand what's going on, or the last caller didn't.
So, okay. So they're using the Wartime Enemies Act, right, to deport Venezuela. And for that to be used, we would have to be under an actual war with Venezuela, which hasn't been declared. And Trump's own admin found that they didn't really have the grounds to use it, but they are anyways.
Okay. Well, yesterday, a federal judge ruled in favor of Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act. We have not had
after it had been turned down
a federal judge. It doesn't matter who the country has. We have not had an official state of war since the Second World War. However, the MS-13 and Trinde have been declared terrorist organizations, They've invaded this country and are doing all kinds of acts of terrorism. Sometimes it's rape and murder. Sometimes it's slavery through human trafficking. Sometimes it's drugs. And what is going on right now is an apprehension and deportation of these terrorists. It would be like we had hundreds of thousands of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. You would use the Alien Enemies Act if we had tens of thousands of ISIS and Al-Qaeda invading us. You would apprehend them and you would deport them to prisons overseas. That's what they're doing.
Okay. A lot to unpack there. But
Not to unpack.
Tender Aragua and MS-13 aren't terrorist organizations.
Yes, President Trump, one of his first actions,
let me
he
finish.
signed an executive
They're
order.
not
Excuse me.
Organizations
Yes.
conducted by these foreign
Excuse me.
militaries and countries.
President Trump signed an executive order on his first days in office, naming them both terrorist organizations. U.S. policy is that they are.
Sure. Okay. I'm fine calling them terrorist organizations. I don't like gangs as much as the next person. But it's been found by Trump's own administration that these gangs aren't being conducted by the foreign government.
What government?
So what war? We're not declaring war against Venezuela.
What government does Al-Qaeda operate under? What government were they operating under when they attacked America on September 11th, or the USS Cole?
They've probably been funded by.
Funded.
They've probably been funded by these countries in the Middle East.
They were not. They were. What about ISIS?
Hamas.
What country's army is ISIS a member of?
Well, can you admit at least that Hamas has been funded by?
We're not talking. Hamas isn't who we're not deporting Hamas from this country, other than some of their spokespeople at the universities.
Would you say that's a terrorist organization?
Yes, and if there were thousands of Hamas terrorists in America, we're deporting some of the Hamas people, like at Columbia University. That Mahmoud student, he was working for Hamas, and he's going to be deported. Why is it that you want these rapist murderers, and they're involved in slavery, human trafficking, slavery? Why do you want them to stay in this country so bad?
Oh, well, I don't. Obviously, I don't.
Well, you don't want to do anything about it.
I would appreciate if the judicial system was being used in the way that
you can't take 20 million illegals to court. It would take 200 years.
Okay, well, they've sent, under the Wartime Enemies Act, they sent like 170-something Venezuelans to El Salvador.
Maybe, more.
Big problem
Maybe
there.
more, yeah.
And none of these guys are even giving a chance to talk to a lawyer.
When you are in the country illegally, hold on a second.
Some of these guys had nothing to do with gangs.
They're in,
no criminal
when
record.
you're in the country illegally, especially if you're in one of these gangs, you don't have the same rights in the judicial system. If you're in the country illegally, the federal government has a right to deport you.
That's not what the Constitution says.
What does the Constitution say about illegals?
The Constitution says that all persons are due process.
Not people that are not invadors. As an example, in the Second World War, excuse me, when you
have to prove that
they
invaders.
are, we saw them walking across. Yeah, sure, they walked across the border illegally.
Well, okay, but you can't be judge, jury, and executioner.
Nobody's executing them. No, when you're in the country illegally,
it's a phrase.
The federal government. It's not a phrase. You're either legal or not.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
No one's executing the illegals. They're being deported. That's a different thing.
You could say they're executing their deportation to a country they're not from under false grounds.
No. If you're in the country illegally, the federal government has the right to repel foreign invaders. We have been invaded. We've been invaded, and we're repelling a foreign invasion force.
I don't know. I live in the state that has some of the most Venezuelan migrants, and I just don't see any kind of war or...
Do you know where any illegal migrants are right now? Do you know where there are illegal aliens right now? You say you live in a state with a lot of them. Do you know where any are?
I mean, anyone that talks to people and works a job and, is out in their country does, definitely.
When is the last time you encountered... When is the last time you encountered an illegal? When is the last time you personally encountered an illegal?
I mean, every day of the week for my entire life living here.
When's the last time?
Every day of the week.
So yesterday or today?
I mean, it's pretty early today.
Yesterday?
I guess yesterday.
Okay,
yeah.
so tell me about this. Yesterday, you came in contact with an illegal. Tell me about that.
I mean, you have to
Where we have to assume? How do you
maybe on the train or walking on the street? They're probably on the way to.
I get it. You're white, right? Like me, you're white.
Oh, sure.
Okay, and so it's interesting. So you're a racist. You assume if somebody is Hispanic, they're illegal. Why do you? Not everyone hits. I
don't.
Marco Rubio is Hispanic. He's not illegal. Why do you assume because someone's Hispanic, they're illegal?
Marco Rubio was born in Miami.
Yeah, but if you didn't know who he was and you saw him, you would assume he's illegal because he's Hispanic.
No.
Typical liberal bigot.
It's a numbers game.
Well, how do you know they're illegal then? Then how do you know? Other than the fact that they have brown skin, how do you know they're illegal?
I wouldn't be able to pick out each specific person besides people I know.
Wow. So you know illegals? You know illegals right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, then not only are you a racist, you're committing a crime. You are harboring federal fugitives from justice. Well, you're racist.
I'm not harboring anybody.
If you know where they're, if you have friends who are illegal and you know where they are, you are legally bound to call Tom Homan, the border czar, ICE. You're harboring illegals. You're like that judge in Wisconsin. You're harboring federal fugitives.
Well, she also just didn't want her court.
No. You're
a place to draw in.
If you knew where there was bank robbers, right? If you were friends with bank robbers who were wanted, and you don't turn them in and you harbor them, you've committed a crime. Same goes for the illegals. Oh my goodness. You didn't realize you're going to confess. This guy's confessing a crime on the air. Well, we should go viral. Somebody tell CNN, harboring illegals is a crime.
This is how you get people. You
well, it's true. If you know where there's a criminal who's a wanted fugitive, and you say you have multiple federal fugitives that you're friends with,
any wanted fugitives.
If they're in the country illegally, Tom Homan wants to deport. Sure, you do. If they're in the country illegally,
I've known illegal immigrants that.
I don't know any illegals.
Illegal immigrants that work 3 jobs.
Oh my goodness!
Plan on working here for a bit.
So you know multiple. If they're in the country illegally, they're federal fugitives. Tom Homan's looking for them.
No, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, sure.
Even a lot of MAGA people.
Well, I don't know about I know about you. I've got you on the phone, and you told me that you have friends that are in the country illegally, that are illegally working, and you're not turning them in. And by the way, those 3 jobs your illegal friends have, those are 3 American jobs they're taking illegally. What kind of jobs are they?
I don't know about that.
If they have a job, they're not legal. If they're in
office buildings,
that's right.
Agricultural work.
Yes.
Landscaping. You don't ever see really Americans doing that job.
Oh, see, there's the bigotry again. I have a landscaper. He mows my lawn every week, and he's an American, and everyone on his crew is an American.
I landscaped when I was 16-year-old too. I mean, there's definitely. I don't say things with these big blanket generalizations.
So see, you support slavery.
It sounds weird.
Not only are you harboring federal fugitives and are a bigot, you've also just told me you support slavery. You like illegals to do menial jobs, landscaping, cleaning offices.
All these guys are getting paid. None of them are slaves.
Slave wages.
I've worked in restaurants a long time. This is a
wow.
thing you hear about a lot of. I mean, I make good money.
You make good money?
Great job.
You have a great job. Yeah, well, white guy, of course, right? Hey, appreciate the call. Wow. He didn't realize what he was going to be admitting to when he picked up the phone. Remember that video in Colorado of those Trinidad de Agua guys with the rifles? Remember that? Went all over you still see it in the news, but it was all over the place a few months ago. Did you know that video was taken from a doorbell camera? That's right. And you, from Slomin's, can get a free doorbell camera. That's right, that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Slomin's Shield. Slomin's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin's Shield. Give them a call right now, no matter where you're located. 1-833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back with your calls after this break. Every line's lit, so if you're on hold, hang in there, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I mean, holy smokes. Crazy. Wow. Supports slavery, racist. See somebody Hispanic assumes they're... That was some call. That was some call. Holy smokes. We'll be back in just over a minute. There's one opening on the board. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. If you watch on, those of you watching with the, oh no, every line's lit. If you're watching with the green behind me, if you go to my other stream, you get the green screen effects. That was some call. I tell you, that was like taxi cab confessions with that guy. We'll be back in 30 seconds. All right, we're back, guys. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Every line on the board is lit, and I'm just going to go back to the calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi.
Once per day, you've already called. Once per day. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is your friend Kevin from Massachusetts.
Okay.
Calling back. Are you hung
No,
up on me?
I had to take a break, and it's one call per day. Okay? We don't have a lot of rules. One call per day, and you've already called. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's David. I'm calling from Canova, West Virginia.
Hey, David. What's up?
I grew up in... Hey, man, some of these people, they blow my mind.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, man.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, they blow my mind. I don't think they understand that our due process and our judicial system, it doesn't apply to these people that aren't citizens.
No, it does. The Constitution applies to anyone inside the United States that's here legally, right? You can be a green card holder. You can be on vacation. However, if you are in the country illegally, there's different standards.
Right. And these people, it's like they're in love with these illegal aliens. They love them. I call them crusaders. They would do anything for these people, and I don't understand.
Well, the left have always supported criminals, right? I mean, how many times in your life have you heard liberals support cop killers, as an example, right? Remember Abdu, that Mumia guy killed a cop in Philly. Look right now. Look at the Menendez brothers. Have a bunch of people supporting them. They murdered their parents by their own admission. This Luigi pharmaceutical killer killed a guy in cold blood on the street. They're supporting him. So the liberals have a long history of supporting criminals. OJ.
Yes, sir. And I understand, too, from what I saw, I don't know how true it is, that this black kid killed, stabbed the boy that they're going to let him graduate high school?
Oh, he's out on bail or something. I don't know. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian.
Yeah. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Susan from North Carolina.
Hey, Susan.
Hey, I was just calling I want to say one thing about, I am so tired of these people going against Trump. It just drives me crazy. They don't know the Constitution. They don't take the time to study the Constitution. And going back to the guy, Kevin, whatever his name, from up north, and those people from up north.
Yeah.
Or if they know, or the guy from Florida, if they know somebody that is employing illegal aliens,
then
the employer is breaking the law also.
Correct.
And I am just livid.
It's amazing.
I went on I just get on tangents because people do not take the time to learn the laws of the land and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It is.
Well, listen, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an expert on the Constitution to understand that you need proper documents to enter any country. Like as an example, every year we do our MAGA cruise. Our next cruise is March next year, which you're all invited to. We're going to Antigua, British Virgin Islands, and Nassau in the Bahamas. My passport's going to expire. Okay, passports are good for 10 years. I got to renew it or I can't board the ship. I got to have a travel document. And I'm just going, on a cruise where I'll be in these countries for a few hours. You come in the country illegally, you get repelled. If I try to enter the British Virgin Islands or Antigua without my passport, they're not going to take me to court. They're going to just send me back to Florida. That's how it works.
That's exactly how it works. But it just, they just want to condemn President Trump on and on and on. They want to find fault in everything he's doing. And as far as that plane, he should take it. It is a gift.
That's right.
It is a gift.
That's right.
And it will be used by future administrations on and on. It is not to him specifically. It is to the country.
Correct.
And I agree with you 100%, and thank you for your radio show.
All right. Well, I appreciate your call. Thanks so much. All right. There are coherent people out there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
What that caller earlier that tried to quote you the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution does say 3 separate but equal, right? Branches of government, right? That's what it says. And these judges that are doing what they're doing, they're encroaching on one of a place that they shouldn't be in.
See, a federal district judge only has authority over the district that their court covers. And they're not the entire judicial branch of the government as a judge. The president is the chief executive. He's an entire branch on his own. The branches of government are not equal. The president is the most powerful by far. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, hello. My name is Daniel. I am Patriot Grim, Crypto Grim on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm calling from Arizona.
Okay. What's on your mind?
I'm a board.
Here we
what?
go. All right. Go ahead.
just wanted to talk about I see a bunch of your callers and people that's on your chat and everything on YouTube.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that they want to call MAGA and Trump people uneducated. I'm sorry, but, you know, I'm an avid reader. I'm a person of high education. I may not have a high school degree or what, but, you know, I'm one of the smartest people in my town, and I'm not boasting that either.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate that. The smartest man in the town. That's awesome. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, okay. You missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Scott from Kansas City.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah. Listen to some of your callers, some of the other conversations I'm hearing around the country. It is not exactly like, but it's very reminiscent of the conversations after 9/11, where the Bush administration, for any captured Al-Qaeda, wanted military tribunals.
Yeah.
And then the left wanted civil courts in New York, as if Al-Qaeda was a smash and grab Seth gang at Tiffany's or something. Wrong. And what this administration wants to do is to deport what is now deemed as terrorists if they have committed crimes. Well, maybe, I don't know, they would go before I don't know what kind of court they would go before. But it's just the same thing all over again in sort of in a different way, because it's a slightly different situation. But they are doing criminal acts. Being in the country illegally is a criminal act.
And also, by the way, the large number of them, even if they're not raping and murdering or dealing drugs, okay, or human trafficking, which is slavery, they're sucking off the system, causing an incredible drain on our governments, local and nationally, as a way to, that's a weapon of its own against the United States.
And a lot of this welfare fraud is very highly organized. It's Indeed. Very organized.
Yeah.
Welfare fraud, very organized. With
yes.
Even with women and infant care can be organized for theft.
Yep.
They take groceries and turn around and sell them for a profit.
Yeah, they do. All right, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. My name is Kenny. I'm calling from Virginia.
All right, Kenny. What's on your mind?
I'm just calling to give you some appreciation, man, because I'm a Hispanic male. My parents are Cuban. They came in the right way. And I'm just really sick of this whole anti-American complaint about how, you got to give certain rights to certain people. These people are doing it the wrong way. You're coming in illegally. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're expecting a handout. I mean, the immigrants that are coming in now are nothing like the immigrants from before. And if a lot of these Americans would try to go to Cuba and spend 6 months over there, when they came back, trust me, they'd be singing a different tune, and they'd be more appreciative of what we got over here.
Well, we've never before had waves of millions of illegal immigrants coming into the country and then retiring off social welfare systems, Medicaid, right? Yep. Section 8 housing, Obama phones. I mean, this is not the way it used to be. And that economic drain on the system is an attack.
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm a blue-collar worker, and it really upsets me that my tax money is going to people. And the other thing is, sorry to change the subject, a lot of these callers are saying, oh, these guys, these immigrants are coming in and they're doing agriculture and they're working hard. Less than 1% of these people are doing any kind of agriculture.
That's correct.
The majority are going into big democratic cities and are just leeching off the government.
Yeah, they're not working at all.
No, none of them at all. And, they're not assimilating either. I mean, I used to consider this country a Christian country, and that's what made this country great. And we're letting all these people coming in, and not only Hispanics, but from other countries. And I understand about, religious freedoms and all these kind of things, but we're kind of losing the essence of what this country was and what makes it great and what makes people want to come over here in the first place.
Yep. No, I agree with every point you made. All right, appreciate the call. Thanks so much, and welcome to the program. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Rita. I'm from Austin.
All right, Rita, what's on your mind?
So I just wanted to say not everything in life is black or white, and there are gray areas. And I think the caller that said that illegals should have the right to due process, they're right. Yes, it's true. The Constitution guarantees illegals due process. But because of the Aliens Invasion Act, invaders can have that suspended, right?
Correct.
By removing habeas corpus.
Which President Trump's talking about doing. Listen, we're not talking about some guy. We're not talking about some guy at the airport who's trying to get in illegally. We have tens of millions. We have over 20 million illegals in the country. So that's a different situation. Their due process is the enemy. Exactly.
It's the difference, Brian. It's the difference between a storm and a tsunami. They're not the same. So I understand it is an invasion because of the millions of people that came across. So
That's right.
People are trying to classify it as just a rainstorm. No, it's a tsunami. So we have to take those measures. So, but the thing is, it's not like, and not one person needs to be totally right. It's a gray area. And
no, it's not gray, and
have
President
the
Trump's
power.
always right. It's not a gray area. It's very clear, and President Trump is right. And these liberals, they're wrong. All right, hey, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. All right, the first hour is coming to an end. If you're on hold, hang in there. Hour number 2 is about to begin. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number's toll-free no matter where you are, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be back right after our top of the hour break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly, guys. We'll be back in just over a minute. And then I'm going to go. Yeah.
Hi, welcome to
Mark Levin.
All right, stand by. Hour number 2 has begun. Callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio program on the radio since 1977. We've covered a lot. I'm not going to bring up anything new or recap quite yet. Let me take 1 or 2 calls, and then we'll move on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
The first thing I'd like to say, I love that comparison you made with the Statue of Liberty, man, getting free.
Yeah.
I never thought of that one. That's a great one. Because I have some liberals saying, even the liberals were saying, oh, so we get a plane. What's the big deal? I said, yeah. Well, if he uses it for himself, I said, well, if it's Air Force One, he's going to use it for himself. And it's going to go into the library. But there's no library. They're not yet, but there will be.
Yes, that's right.
People, and certainly Tom Holman is doing a great job because normally when you go to Home Depot, there's always some people shaping up trying to get jobs that are illegal. I talked to some of them, and they didn't even want to work. They were wearing sandals, and I said, you don't want to work? No, I don't have to work. So, but all of a sudden they're not there.
Why are they at Home Depot if they don't have to work? You go to Home Depot to get things to work. All right. Now, you're welcome to call in about anything we brought up so far, but I do want to bring up 1 or 2 other things before we go back to the phones. Okay. I am of the opinion, in fact, this is a very strong opinion of mine, that President Trump is not to be questioned on anything that he does. And that goes for those who work under him, unless he criticizes them. And the reason that is, it's not like I'm, we got a dictator, we don't want to go against their leader. This presidency is a very unique presidency. President Trump, if you're MAGA, you voted for Trump, you're either with Trump or not at this point, right? President Trump has the first 2 years of this second term to get his agenda through. And the reason that is because in the midterms, we could lose the majority. We could win more seats in the Congress, but we could lose the majority. The midterm elections is an unknown. And if we lose control of the Congress in the midterms, the Trump agenda will continue, but it'll be a lot more difficult than now. And we voted for President Trump to do everything he's doing, and he's doing everything perfectly. And I have zero tolerance for any so-called conservative MAGA person, I'm talking about Mark Levin here, who's critical of President Trump or anyone on his team. Now, I played this a few days ago, and I want to play it again of Mark Levin. He was talking about Steve Witkoff, who Trump has with him, and Steve Witkoff's doing amazing things. And Tucker Carlson has joined me in being critical of Mark Levin. And let me share this. This is Mark Levin from his show this week on Fox.
The Middle East is filled with terrorists and terrorist regimes. Americans do not like Iran and the regime that runs it. They're terrorists. They keep threatening to destroy us and our friends, the Israelis. They're trying to get nuclear weapons and put them on intercontinental ballistic missiles. We reject it. I speak for tens of millions of red-blooded Americans. I speak for Christians and Jews and others alike. This is the view of the American people. That's number one. Americans hate Hamas. We hate terrorists, butchers, Nazis.
Yes.
We hate men that kill babies,
Now, so far, he's all right. I'm agreeing with Mark Levin with all this, and I think all MAGA people are. But then he's going to go off the res in just a moment.
Decapitate babies, that rape women and burn people alive and attack young teenagers at festivals. We hate them. We despise them. We got real questions about Saudi Arabia and Saudi Arabia's role in 9/11. And the more that comes out, as the FBI just released some information about 6 to 8 months ago, the worse it looks that Saudi Arabia did in fact have a hand in helping al-Qaeda attack us and kill over 2,000 of our fellow citizens. That's what we Americans reject and believe. We know who the good guys are. 80% of us support the state of Israel.
That's true.
Our holy land for Jews and Christians. And most of us despise the terrorist and the terrorist regimes, all of which are one form of dictatorship or another. So that's the foundation. Let's begin there. If only Israel would accept the Palestinian state as a condition of Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords, if that's a condition, then who cares if they join the Abraham Accords? Accept a ceasefire with Qatar-funded Hamas, so Hamas, you see, can rebuild and strike Israel again. That's not going to happen, whether Qatar likes it or not. Accept a deal with Iran that does not fully dismantle their nuclear program.
Okay, so what he's doing here, Mark Levin, and he goes on and mentions him by name a little later, he's going after Steve Witkoff because he negotiated to get this hostage released. He's making deals with Saudi Arabia and other Muslim countries. Okay? And this is what you got to understand about Mark Levin. Okay, he was a never-Trumper during the first campaign, a strong never-Trumper. He was a Ted Cruz guy. And he came up through the Republican establishment. So his friends and alliances are with the Republican warmongering military-industrial complex Bush Republicans. Okay? And, you know, what President Trump is doing is forming this Middle Eastern alliance to defeat Iran in a way that they won't be able to deal with. That's why he's taking the gift of the plane from Qatar. That's why the Abraham Accords are so important. And Tucker Carlson picked up on Mark Levin's criticism of the Trump administration. This is Tucker on his program this week.
Mark Levin, who I also know. I mean, I've been in right-wing world my whole life. I know everybody. I work with Mark. Always gotten along with Mark. Always been nice to me. But yeah, he just accused the Trump administration, of anti-Semitism for calling someone a neocon. Yeah,
because Steve Witkoff called some of these Republicans neocons, right? Remember that the other day?
What he did was he accused Steve Witkoff of anti-Semitism. Right. And I just want to say, I think Steve Witkoff is, if there's anyone who is, has the hand of God on him, it seems to me, I sort of overstated, but I feel that way. It's Witkoff, who's like a thoroughly decent man and who was running around the world trying to bring peace.
And also, by the way,
nations
who single-handedly saved.
Okay, now I don't know who this guy is. I want to fast forward through him because Tucker comes back.
We've reached peak crate. I mean, I think Witkoff is Jewish, right?
Again, but it's I don't even know. But it shouldn't matter.
He's calling it.
Really
matter.
Talk. We'll be like, another neocon.
Fast forward through this guy.
Now, a lot of times, all these liberal Jews overthrow Saddam Hussein. This will be predicted by wiser people.
If Mark Levin is calling the Trump administration anti-Semitic, Steve Witkoff,
listen to this.
We're at the end of something and the beginning of something new. I mean,
that's right.
Right? I mean, that's so. I almost called Mark when I saw it because I know him, but I really love Steve Witkoff and I think his decency. I don't agree with him on everything at all, but his decency is just palpable. I mean, it just comes through. His concern for people, his reasonableness is just so obvious. And the effects of what he's done have been so great for America, great for the world. So I was so offended. And then I thought, I'm not going to solve anything by calling Mark Levin and scolding him. Probably scream at me. But I did think, like, he's not stupid. If you're calling Steve Witkoff an anti-Semite on Twitter, like, you're losing, right?
Yeah. Okay. So now Mark Levin would deny this, maybe even to himself. But this is, and I agree with everything Tucker said about Mark Levin. Here's what's going on, okay? A lot of people, and this applies to Mark Levin. He may be MAGA now or say he's MAGA, but his start, remember, when he was a young man, he worked for the Reagan administration. So he came up through the ranks to where he is today through the Bush Republican establishment. And a lot of these Republican establishment Republicans, like Mark Levin, and there are others, they're making moves for when Trump is out of office. They're starting, what Mark Levin's talking about here is he's really accusing Trump of being a lame duck, and they plan on being around after this term is over. So either they're coming out of the closet as Bush Republicans, neocons. That's what Bush Republicans are, neocons. You know, or they're setting the stage for their friends, the Bush Republican neocons, after Trump's second term is over. Okay, and the Bush Republicans, the Nikki Haley's, the Ron DeSantis's, all these people, they're planning a comeback after this term. All right, they're planning a big comeback after this term. They think they'll be back. And we got to make sure that they're not. So any Republican who calls themselves MAGA, who's out there criticizing President Trump or members of his administration, especially senior people like Steve Witkoff, look out for them. You're probably dealing with someone who's fake MAGA or a Benedict Arnold type. No one who is MAGA should be critical of President Trump or anyone in his administration unless he is criticizing them or fires someone. Now, yesterday we had Dr. Zuckerman in studio from Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and I'd not seen Doc in a while, and after the show, he said, as soon as I walked into the studio, I could see the how much weight you've lost. It's amazing. And there's so many things I like about having lost all this weight from Coastal Weight Loss Secret and their help, but what I like about it most is I have a completely flat stomach now. I have the stomach I had when I was like 21, 22, 23. And I thought just getting older, you just got that belly just would come in. That was just part of getting older. And it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And, you know, like I'm wearing a shirt today that it's so nice I have this shirt and it's the right size. It's a form-fitting shirt. And I'm looking down and I got a complete flat stomach underneath me. Because I remember wearing this shirt and it was tight, almost like a girdle, not that long ago, just a couple short months ago, and I'd look down and I could tell I had a belly, or I could walk by a mirror or a window in a store. I could see I was getting a belly, and I didn't like it, and I didn't think I could lose it. I thought, well, you know, I'm in my 50s now. I'm 54, and my metabolism has slowed down. I'm not going to be able to lose this belly. Well, that's not true. Thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret, give them a call. And Dr. Zuckerman from Coastal Weight Loss Secret was telling me that we're getting listeners from all over the United States calling him up and taking advantage of the Coastal Weight Loss Secret and shedding pounds just like I've done. So no matter where you're located in America, call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And also he told me a lot of couples are coming in and doing this together, but you don't have to go in person. So if you're out of town, you don't have to go in person. You can do everything over the phone with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And that's pretty awesome that couples are doing this together because you probably eat the same stuff. You know, you probably both would like to lose weight. And those of you that are couples, that's pretty awesome. So give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. All right, we're going to take our first break of the second hour and be right back. We'll be back shortly, guys. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Call us on hold. Hang in there. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. A toll-free call no matter where you're listening. Now, I'm a little confused about this next topic, and I'm bringing this up because I want to hear your thoughts as to what's going on here. And I'm talking about this nonstop coverage on CNN about the mental decline of Biden. Now, I know Jake Tapper has a book out, but why the book? And why are they talking about this constantly? Here's one clip with Tapper on CNN yesterday.
You have an entire White House press corps, though, following him around. And I'm just curious as to whether or not this kind of trying to hide what was happening with the president at the time had an impact on the press corps. Like, why didn't we hear some of these details from what they actually saw and were dealing with trying to get information?
Well, Alex Thompson and I were on the case, as were lots of other reporters, trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes. But the bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten.
Okay. Now, that's a bunch of nonsense. We all could see it. The guy was checked out. So why are they bringing this up now? It's almost like a confession that they took part in the cover. Now, they're trying to blame the White House, but nobody buys that. Why do you think they're making such a big deal about Biden's cognitive decline now on CNN? I'm not sure. I'm really not. And I usually have answers to things like this. It just, nothing really makes a lot of sense to me. So I'd like to hear what your thoughts may be. Why are they obsessing on this now? They're admitting that they and the White House press corps and the entire American media covered up for Biden's cognitive decline. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Cindy from Martin County.
Hey, Cindy. How you doing?
I'm good. I haven't talked to you in a long time.
Yeah.
I was sick, but that's another story.
Okay.
So my point of this is I'm sick of this. I've been a Republican conservative for a long time. If everybody wants to know where we're at, they need to read Pat Buchanan's book. Trump is doing everything and everything that could have been done years ago. The Bush administration were neocons, Cheney, we can go back to all of them. Even Ronald Reagan, when he got into office, he had people like Pat Buchanan around him and Russell Kirk, the voice of conservatism. I mean, he is the real conservative who wrote conservatism, what it is. They were all asked to leave the administration. They were all purged.
Yeah.
Because Reagan got taken over by the Bush people.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here because of them. I'm sick of that. Trump is trying to go around the world to have peace. No more war, have peace. No, we don't have things in common with some of these countries. What else is new? Every country has their own thing. That's okay with me. I think the Iranian people is really something. I mean, on X the other day, somebody put Frank Sinatra was doing a concert in Iran. You had to see the amount of people there. And then they were showing us, lovingly with the Shah of Iran. And look what they did to that. I mean, this has got to stop. Everybody needs to support Trump Forget about all this other stuff. The Republicans, I'm sorry, but they're doing exactly what you said, Brian.
There's two major groups that have bought off the politicians. There's others like China and it's the pharmaceutical industry and the military-industrial complex. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taken both of them on. And they, what's going on in the middle. I mean, I'm watching Saudi Arabia yesterday. It's like another planet. It's like if we found life on Venus, it'd be Saudi Arabia, right? I mean, it's weird.
Yes.
It's weird over there. It's not like here. But, but President Trump, I was talking about this at the top of the show at 6. President Trump is putting a NATO-like alliance together of Arab nations with the United States. And that's how we're going to defeat Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Finally,
yeah, exactly.
And stop this.
And maybe the people in Iran will wake up, will try to defeat their own. Maybe they'll wake up and get rid of their leader.
Well, Iran has what he's doing is isolating Iran from other countries. Iran, like this, taking this plane from Qatar. That's a great thing for the United States to do because it would insult them. It's a bond between Qatar and us. And Qatar could put a lot of pressure on Iran and also could help slow down some of the attacks on Israel. And a lot of people say, well, Qatar funds Al Jazeera. If Trump becomes best buds with the government of Qatar, that'll change the tone on Al Jazeera if they have that kind of influence over them.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So this is why, everybody has to go back. I would say Pat Buchanan is in his 80s now. He is writing his biography, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's going to be quite interesting.
You don't hear many people say that you should study Pat Buchanan, but he's gotten a bad rap, Pat Buchanan. He's a good guy.
Yes, he did. And you know what? We can go all the way back, back in time and go back to the 60s and even further than that, and look at all those other. I mean, we've been talking about this. We finally have a president who's doing America first. And Pat Buchanan, by the way, that was one of his slogans.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and read every one of his books. What was the destruction of a superpower?
In fact, President Trump, when he was this was like a publicity stunt, but he was talking about running for president with the libertarians. He was friends with Pat Buchanan back then, Donald Trump.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all this, we're seeing it, we're loving it, we're getting to see what we really want to do with America and what we want for the world, and I'm for America. I'm not, a lot of nice countries out there, but I don't want to live in those countries.
I will never in my life ever visit a Muslim country. I'll never go to a Muslim country. I wouldn't feel safe. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I will never go to a Muslim country ever. Ever.
Watch that. Watch the old where he's in a stadium. Frank Sinatra is in a stadium in Iran singing, doing a concert.
Yeah.
How bizarre is that?
I'll look it up. All right, appreciate the call. All right, from MAGA, Martin County. And here's another thing you guys got to really, those of you out there, you never Trumpers or anti-Israel, anti-Semites, do you think Netanyahu's happy with Trump making all these deals with these Muslim countries? Heck no, he's not. Okay, Netanyahu wants war with Iran, just like Mark Levin and Nikki Haley and all these Bush Republican neocons. So for those of you out there who say that it's Israel first with Trump, not America, or Candace Owens who claims that he's controlled by Jews, if that were the case, would he be making friends with all these Muslim nations, including he's lifted the sanctions on Syria, and he's going to meet with that ex-terrorist who's now the leader of Syria? I don't think so. Now, I want to tell you guys this. If you're in pain, you want to go see Dr. Philip Appleton. It's Wednesday. Walk-ins are welcome. Appointments are never necessary with Dr. Appleton because Dr. Appleton understands that when you're in pain, you need relief, you need help, you need it now. Now, again, he's rid me of pain 7 times, 3 times on my shoulders from injuries, my arthritis, my knee pain. It's amazing what he does. My shoulder blade, my arthritis gone. His laser wave pain treatment works without drugs, without over-the-counter or prescription medications, without shots, without surgery, without downtime, and it works on every type of pain I've ever heard. And I love meeting our listeners who are now living a life that is pain-free. Let me tell you, when you've got pain, chronic pain that you have year after year like I had before Dr. Appleton rid me of it, it's not just the pain, it's exhausting. How many of you have or are living with pain And the pain's so bad, you just want to go to sleep. That's how I was sometimes, especially with my knee, with my arthritis. Now my pains are gone, thanks to Dr. Appleton. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself, too. I'm going to give you his number, give him a call, and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Mm-hmm. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Okay, so while they're talking about Biden's cognitive decline, Trump is making moves, okay? Now, the Democrats thought that they won something when they got a Republican in the Senate to stop Ed Martin from becoming the United States Attorney General for the District of Columbia. But the Never-Trumpers and the Democrats, before they could finish high-fiving one another, they did themselves in. Because, of course, the great Judge Janine got that job by the president. But Ed Martin, who's been made the Deputy Attorney General, is in charge of a special investigation. This is Ed Martin yesterday. Listen to this.
We've never seen pardons of the scope, and it looks at least like something that you could be corrupt. When Bill Clinton pardoned Mark Rich, and it turns out that Mark Rich had paid a boatload of money to one of Clinton's friends, lawyers, that's not corrupt. It's not criminal because the plenary power of the pardon. But in the case of Joe Biden and his pardons, they were so specific. Back 14 years, covering everything you've ever done. I mean, and when I say specific, they were broad, but they had time stuff on them. It was very, and that least leads to questions because the plenary power is true, but the question is what was going on here. And I did get responses from some of them, and those things are ongoing. Okay, now this is fascinating because Ed Martin is doing the Autopin pardon investigation. All right. And he is not messing around. He is not messing around. And he is not looking, like Mark Levin and others that I was talking about earlier, he's not looking to make friends with the neocon Bush Republicans after the Trump presidency ends, whenever that is, whether it's in 32 or 36 or whenever, okay? Or 28, who knows? Or 42 or 46, who knows? But he's not looking to make friends with these Bush Republican neocons. He's looking for some justice. And what they did to him was so inappropriate. He's on a mission, and it's a good one. The Autopin pardons. And, this CNN obsession with the cognitive decline of Biden is going to factor into Ed Martin's investigation. That Autopin, which is not used on big things, it's typically used on small things. Like, as an example, if you write the president as a citizen and you get a letter back with a signature, it's probably the Autopin, okay? But the Autopin, and this is something really amazing to think about, and it's so crazy, right? The Autopin is the most powerful tool in America's arsenal. In fact, it may be the most powerful tool ever invented. When I was in college, I had this history professor, and he told us, he said the two most destructive inventions, one was the cotton gin, and the cotton gin was the most destructive until the A-bomb was discovered. And the nuclear bombs are the most destructive. I would say the Autopin is the most destructive and most powerful because with that Autopin, you can launch nuclear weapons. With that Autopin, you can launch military strikes and kill people. With the Autopin, you can sign bills into law, and you don't have to be the president. You just have to be the person who is operating the Autopin. So without question, the Autopin is the most powerful and can be the most destructive invention in history. And at some point, with Ed Martin and his investigations, they have the ability to do forensics. They can determine whether a signature by the president is an actual signature or an Autopin. And they're going to do more than look at the pardons. There's been all kinds of actions that may have been done with the Autopin, like military strikes, right? So at some point, we're going to find out. And the Autopin, it's not, like when you see President Trump and he signs an executive order, he's got that box of pens, right? And sometimes he's got a whole box. Sometimes he'll use 5 pens for one signature, sometimes just one. And then he'll give that pen to people sometimes, right? Gave Riley Gaines that one executive order on women's sports pen, right? But that's a box of ink pens. They're nice ink pens. They're presidential ink pens. And they're a collectible. But somebody could just reach over and grab a handful of them, right? President Trump may not like that, but you could take those. The Autopin is so powerful that without the President of the United States, you could move naval fleets, aircraft carrier groups, launch rocket attacks on another nation
You can do incredible things with the auto pen without the president even being there. In fact, the auto pen typically is used outside of the presence of the president. If they were there, they could just sign. So this has not been revealed to the public yet. At least I haven't seen it. There has got to be a process to access and use the auto pen. It's not like those pens in the box next to Trump when he's signing that you can just reach in and grab one. This is a device without the president that you can do the things I just said. So what is the process to access the auto pen and use it? And is this something that one person can do, or does it require a group? Like, I don't know if it's still like this, but in the movies, they would show to launch nuclear weapons. They would have two guys in the silo with the keys that were too far away for one person to reach. You had to have two guys on different sides of the silos turning the key at the same time. Are there similar safeguards on the auto pen? I would be shocked if there are not, because it's so powerful. And it's got to be multiple people involved. So if you use that auto pen to do things with the president with this cognitive decline that CNN has spent 24 hours highlighting, you've committed major federal crimes and perhaps even international crimes and crimes against humanity. If without the president authorizing or being able to authorize, you signed off on a military strike, you've murdered people, right? If pardons were signed without him and his knowledge, see what Ed Martin's talking about with these pardons, these are unlike other pardons. They go back so many years, they cover anything you may have done. Usually pardons with past presidents, they haven't been blanket pardons, they've been specific pardons. Okay, we're pardoning you for this. We're pardoning you. And there have been controversial pardons. Bill Clinton, he did pardons for, they think money with Mark Rich, but I always thought that Mark Rich's wife and Bill Clinton had a thing. Remember those Puerto Rican terrorists that Bill Clinton pardoned? That was to help Hillary in her Senate race in New York. But those pardons were specific. They weren't, okay, anything you've ever done in your life is now pardoned. It was this particular crime: embezzlement, campaign finance reform, murder, terrorism. You're pardoned for that. Not everything you may have ever done in your life. So why all of a sudden do they have these bizarro pardons? And when they go in and determine that they're auto pen pardons, there's going to be a deeper investigation into the access of the auto pen. And I'm hoping at some point, I'd like the Trump White House to do this, show us the auto pen and the process to access it and use it. Do any of you out there think it's possible just for anyone to go and get that auto pen and use it and sign things? I don't think so. Someone has to sign some type of something to access it. It's too powerful. You could do too much with it. So we'll find out more about that with Mark Davis. And they have really made some mistakes with Mark Davis on this. Okay, they should not have let him go. They should have let him be the attorney in D.C. because they're going to find out that it's not Biden so much that's in trouble. It's the people on his staff that were using the auto pen. And there were so many of these weird auto pen pardons at the end, it seems like they were just passing the auto pen, however that is, to anybody for pardons. And some of those auto pen pardons may have been done in exchange for favors or money. So this is very well the auto pen scandal, auto pen gate that Ed Martin's investigating may very well be the biggest scandal in the history of the American presidency. It really may be. And I am so looking forward to this. And I'd like to see some of these pardons rolled back. General Milley in particular would be one that I'd like to see rolled back. Now, yesterday we had in studio Joe Thomas, Jupiter Joe Thomas. He's our financial advisor. We talked to him about annuities. And I'd been talking about this one annuity that gives you the income doubler from unexpected health events. And what Joe Thomas told me, which was really amazing, is that with the income doubler, that if you're a married couple, you're probably both on that annuity. either one of you have a medical emergency, you get that income doubler, right? So if you're getting $2,000 a month, it'd go to $4,000 a month. And everyone knows that, when there's a medical crisis, the insurance doesn't cover everything. You need help. If you're working, you may miss work, right? You may need things. A lot of times, I was talking to Joe about this yesterday, people need to install one of those walk-in showers because people can't get in. Sometimes people need to make their home handicap and wheelchair accessible. Sometimes they need a ramp at the front door. The money will definitely come in handy. I don't know why everyone's not in annuities. Your money's never at risk, no matter what happens in the stock market. You're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. And there's many other things other than this income doubler for unexpected health events. It's amazing. Give Joe Thomas a call. He's offering free phone consultations to our listeners, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are located. Here's his number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Callers on hold, stand by. We'll take our last break of the second hour and be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there, guys. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, if you want, yeah, sure. Let me put you on hold. Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff. Is there anything in particular? Okay. All right, let me put you on hold. Okay, I'll pick you up in a minute. All right, sorry, I hit the wrong button. You there? Okay, hold on. All right, you there, Steve?
Yes.
All right, hold on. We'll be back in about a minute.
Okay.
All right, we are back. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I'm Brian Craig, Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
Oh, man, so many good things going on. I was going to take a call or two, and then I'll do some recapping because amazing things are happening. But
sounds good.
All right, hold on. Our phones are ringing off the hook. All right, okay. All right, Steve, I'm going to take a couple of these, all right?
All right.
All right, let's go. Hold on. Oh, boy. I have... we've added a whole bunch of lines. We have more lines than we've ever had in the history of the Steve Kane Show, and they're ringing off the hook. All right, let's go. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine, Brian.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, I think you're dead on right about those auto pens. If, in fact, it wasn't Biden initiating and issuing the auto pen, and they can deem him incompetent, that means someone else making those decisions, wouldn't that void all the pardons?
Well, they'd have to prove that he didn't authorize them, because you can authorize pardons with the auto pen, but there's going to be an investigation going on, and that auto pen is logged, and believe me, there's a lot of very frightened people. All right, appreciate the call, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm glad they did that with Mike Davis. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Hey, can I ask you a quick question?
Wait a second. You got to get the phone out of your mouth. I'm having a hard time hearing you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
All right, it's Tom from Florida.
Oh, hey, Tom.
Just a quick question. Before Donald Trump became president, what did you guys talk about on the radio on your show?
We always have talked about news, politics, and the issues of the day.
Okay.
Well, you
So,
have
I
something
find it
you'd
very-
rather talk. Hold on 1 second. Do you have something
You're
you'd
there.
rather talk about than Donald Trump?
Oh, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know if
Well,
you
you
guys.
sounded like you were complaining. Go ahead. Tell me what you have in mind.
Okay, now the auto pen, right? That was a big thing they brought up in 2008 with the homes. Okay,
Well, that's
because
what
of the
we were talking about. I thought you weren't into what we're talking about.
What do you mean? I was listening and I called in, Steve.
We're trying to find out if you have anything to say.
Yeah, and I rapidly coming to the conclusion that you don't.
Oh, guys, stop doing what you do. Learn something, okay?
All right, next.
Why don't we talk about your love life and your personal life? That's got to be interesting.
For homes, okay, when they did the auto pen signature, you have to put pen to paper for legal purposes. You are absolutely correct, okay? Now, on the other hand, I find it absolutely hilarious that you guys are talking about Joe Biden. Joe Biden still can't move on from this, man, okay? Regardless.
Who's talking about Joe Biden?
Uh-huh. What?
Huh? What? Well, you said we're still talking about Joe Biden. During the 4 years of Obama's third term, Biden's, administration, you guys, all you did was go after Trump, arrested Trump, shot Trump, tried to shoot him again, bringing him into court, suing Trump. I mean, you guys were, not only were you guys obsessed with Trump, you were doing some pretty hardcore stuff against him, other than just talking about pardons.
And by the way, you're the ones that you guys are the ones that are obsessed with Trump because he's kicking your butt.
Okay, there's no plural. Okay, you guys are still talking about Joe Biden. It happens to be that President Trump is basically taking gifts, right?
No.
From other companies, and now you're saying that's corrupt.
The United States has been offered a gift, which we have not yet been given or received, of a plane from Qatar.
Gets from it. Yeah, I know.
Let me ask.
You understand that plane is not for Trump. It's given to the government. You understand that, right?
Hey, Steve, you weren't here for this yesterday, and I have to ask you this. Now, do you think it's proper for us to spend close to, millions of dollars to prep this plane to be Air Force One, and then go ahead and take it and put it in the library? And you told me this.
The answer is yes. I think it's fine.
Yes.
Because the plane was not given to Trump. The plane was given to us. I'm a taxpayer. I'm the one that gets the benefit of it.
In the presidential library. Now, what do you think about that, Steve?
You mean like
all I heard was presidential library.
You're aware that there's an Air Force One in Ronald Reagan's presidential library. You know that, right?
Okay.
You didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a history of Air Force Ones at presidential libraries.
Or was it built in America by Boeing?
Yes, it's a Boeing.
The best you got going for you. You're in trouble. You know that.
The
right?
Qatar plane is a Boeing 747.
You guys are hilarious.
Are you driving a vehicle? Are you driving a motor vehicle?
Am I driving a motor vehicle? I am on hands-free, okay? And what you're doing now is you're creating...
Oh, you're driving a Tesla? You're in a hands-free Tesla?
I'm in a Tesla? No, I'm not in a Tesla.
What other car do you have that's hands-free?
Oh, my God.
You say you're in a hands-free vehicle. It's not a Tesla. What kind of vehicle are you riding in hands-free if it's not a Tesla? Or did you just make that up?
You're dodging the question. You ready?
Okay, so you made... All right, appreciate the call. Oh, my goodness. I mean, lying about just things that aren't even important, right? I understand, like, if you're Letitia James and you're facing 30 years in prison, you might lie to try to save yourself.
Yes, he had nothing to say.
No, well, that's how most of the liberals are. You know, but I wanted to recap what I started with at 6, because I think everyone's missing this. President Trump in Saudi Arabia yesterday, that was amazing. I watched all of it. Did you?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Didn't miss a word.
The Saudi crown prince. Hey, was that the crown prince that killed that guy and chopped him up and put him in the briefcases? Khashoggi?
I don't believe so, but I'm not sure.
Nah, whatever. He looked like a nice guy yesterday. You could tell that he loves Trump like we do. I mean, he loves him. You could tell he was glowing when he was with him. And when he went to the plane and greeted President Trump coming down the steps of our very old and rickety 30-year-old Air Force One and shook his hand, what a great sign of respect for the president and the United States and the American people. They even brought out the Saudi royal family. They even brought out a portable mobile McDonald's just in case the president wanted to feel like home and wanted some McNuggets or something. I mean, it was really amazing. But what I was talking about, Steve, is what the president's doing. And what he's doing is he's forming a new alliance in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to answer these calls. And what this new alliance is, Steve, this new alliance, it's a NATO-like alliance, right? Like we formed NATO, I guess, in 46, 47. It's a NATO-like alliance, and he's found a way to bring down Iran without any military action.
Well, not only that, all this stuff that he's doing right now, or that he was doing yesterday, is all relevant to the conflict with Russia.
Correct.
Because Russia is this key stumbling block that he's fighting against, and he gives him leverage because he can affect the price of gas through his relationship with the royal family.
Between the United States and Saudi Arabia, we have like almost all the oil in the world, right? Us and OPEC.
Exactly
and that's a lot of power. And we're bonding with them over that. And, another thing, they keep telling us in the news, he shouldn't take this plane from Qatar because they fund Al Jazeera. And we know what Al Jazeera is all about. However, if that's true, if Qatar controls Al Jazeera is going to turn into a pro-Trump network. They're going to be praising Trump like nobody's business when he accepts that plane. What he's doing is they always say he plays tridimensional chess. This is like 12th dimensional chess. He is making deals and negotiations on a level that the media and the never-Trumpers don't even see yet. And it's pretty brilliant. Can we see if we got a coherent person on the phone?
Sober would be nice.
Sober? Yeah, okay. We'll just settle for sober. Incoherent and sober. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Well, he's sober, Steve. All right, go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, I just wanted to rain on your white power hour and just reinforce and let you guys know that you are, in fact, a lame duck. And when he has his end of his term, he is going to leave. He's going to leave. You're not staying. So get over yourself. Okay?
Is that how? Is that
what candidate after this term? What candidate do you plan on beating us with?
Well, I haven't even really gone into the.
Is Mr. Hogg going to be the guy who beat?
Oh, David Hogg.
You gotta shut up if you want to know.
Oh boy.
Oh, he didn't like that.
No.
You're gonna talk on top of me. You're not gonna know.
Go ahead. You're up. I know you got nothing to say, but you're up.
Yeah, well, if you'd shut up, I could tell you. I liked Bernie Sanders, but I don't think he's going to be old enough. I actually think AOC and Jasmine Thompson.
He's so incoherent. He means David Hogg's not going to be old enough. He's getting confused, Renee. Maybe he's not sober, Steve.
Yeah, he is old. He's old because the Democrats got in his way.
You said he's not going to be old enough. You said Bernie's not going to be old enough. Oh, my goodness.
No, he's too old.
All right, appreciate the call. Oh, my goodness, Steve. That was pretty bad. Oh, Father's Day, most important day of the year is coming up, right? 3 weeks away. And, how many pairs of MyPillow slippers do you have, Steve? Two?
Right now,
One?
Two. Yes, two.
There's no better gift for Father's Day than the gift of MyPillow slippers. They're $90 off. $90 off, all sizes, all colors. And there's the slip-ons, and then there's the ones that aren't the slip-ons. I don't know what you call the ones that aren't slip-ons. But they have a whole bunch of new sizes, Steve. They got the big sizes and wide sizes for the bigger guys, and they're $90 off. With our promo code Kane, of course, just $59.98 when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com. They come in a great, beautiful box, perfect for wrapping, and your dad will love them. And dad is also your husband or your adult son that has children. They will love them, and they're good for all-day wear. They're good to wear anywhere. I've seen you wear them on the cruise, Steve. So the MyPillow, My Slippers, perfect gift for Father's Day, $90 off with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. All right, callers on hold, stand by. 2 hours down, 1 to go. I'm Brian. Steve Kane's here. Back after this. Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hey, are you going to be ready for us? Or I was going to take you coming out of this break. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to conference Barry in. Okay, he's back today. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right.
Hey, Barry, we'll be back in 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, stand by.
Thanks.
Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane's here. I'm Brian, and we're joined by Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Good, good. We haven't spoken live for a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I was away, and some things have been going on, so it's been a little while.
Yeah. So what do you have for us this morning?
Well, based on the reason I was gone and everything, I want to share some of that with you and the audience. And there's an important point to it. And that important point is, number one, life is unpredictable. And number two, we always have to be prepared for that unpredictability. Here's what happened. My wife and I went to Europe for a couple of weeks, and everything was great until the flight back. And on the flight back, 2 hours into the 9-hour flight, I had the most excruciating stomach pain I think anyone could ever have, and it didn't stop. There was nothing that could be done to make it go away. Ultimately, not to not make this go on and on. Ultimately, when I got back, I went to the emergency room. The next morning, I had to have an emergency gallbladder removal, and the thing is, I mean, if that inflamed gallbladder, God forbid, had ruptured while we're over the Atlantic there, I may not be on this call with you guys today or anytime.
Yeah.
So
scary.
Is one of those things that nobody wasn't expecting any of this when I got on that plane, and so sometimes we just have to be ready, even if it doesn't look like there's anything wrong. It looks like everything's normal, everything's fine. But we have to be ready, we have to be prepared, and we need to make sure that we're taken care of and our loved ones, because we never know when something unpredictable might.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we never know, and you got very lucky there, but if things would have gone south, at least your family would have been taken care of, because I bet you have an incredible revocable living trust and everything set up, as everyone should. And you never know. And no matter how old or young you are, you want to have everything in order. It's always a no-charge consultation with the Siegel Law Group if you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the program. And, of course, they can help you no matter where you're located in the state of Florida. Here's the number, toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. Well, I'm glad everything turned out well, Barry, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
All right. You take care. All right. Good to talk to you. All right, Steve. You want to go back to the phones, or what do you want to do?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We're looking for sober, coherent Democrats. But you don't. You can agree. You can be MAGA and call too. Okay. This is not a place just for liberals to call. All right. Let's go. All right. We'll try another one. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Mo. I'm calling from Ohio.
Mel in Ohio. What's on your mind?
So, I saw you wearing a Star Wars shirt, and I just got to ask how you feel about Trump posting himself as a Sith Lord, first of all. I know that's got to be the most pressing matter of the day, but...
You're kidding me, right?
A little bit. I mean, I just want to know how you feel about it.
Okay, the reason that on May the 4th, for the May the 4th Be With You Day, they had a picture of President Trump as a Jedi holding a red lightsaber, okay, which is the color of Darth Vader's lightsaber. That said, why do you think Donald Trump's meme had a red lightsaber and not a blue like Luke Skywalker? Why do you think?
Well, you would think because he's a Sith Lord.
No, it's MAGA red, like the hat I'm wearing right now. MAGA red. If he would have had the blue lightsaber, they'd have said, "Oh, was he a Democrat?" You don't think?
Exactly.
But you don't.
Appreciate this.
Well, you don't think Trump's evil, do you? You don't think Trump's evil, do you?
I don't even think it's necessarily about that. I think you should at least do some research about what the media you're posting, right?
No,
and
he
if
knew
the
what he was
media
doing.
Says, oh, well, the
What's
red
your
is bad guys and the blue is the good guys. I don't think it necessarily matters.
I gave you the answer.
Okay.
Oh, she's on the side. What is your real beef with Trump? Why do you really not like him? It's not the lightsaber.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot more, but I just thought.
Well,
that
like,
was
what's
the
your
point I wanted to
biggest
bring up.
grievance with Donald Trump, or is it just a problem with men that you have?
I mean, I guess it would be his innate disregard of the Constitution.
Oh, when has he disregarded the Constitution? I missed that. Do you know when he did that, Steve? I missed that. When did Trump disregard the Constitution?
I mean, when you let a bunch of insurrectionists go, first of all, I mean, we could start with that, right?
What
But, I mean,
insurrectionists?
it's okay to shoot. Wait, but it's okay to shoot cops, right? It's okay to shoot cops as long as it's
Who shot a cop that Trump let go and set free? You
Well,
say
You know what? You're right. I'll have to
But
get
by
back
the
to
way,
you
I'm
with
sorry.
specific names. You're
Excuse
absolutely
me.
right.
Are you a man or a woman?
Well, obviously, I think by the sound of my voice, you can tell that I'm a female.
Well, you have an androgynous name. You said Mel. That could be Melvin or Melanie. That's what confused us. Like Pat.
Yeah,
no, if I could tell by your voice, I wouldn't have asked.
So you said, she just said, this is interesting,
Use
Steve.
your proper pronouns.
She, her, and liberal freaking out right now. Mel just said, Steve.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
you said.
appreciate the pronoun asking, because my pronouns aren't she, her, but I was just going to let you assume because
Okay.
I don't really care.
Okay, you said that Trump let somebody go free. You said that Trump let someone go free who shot a cop dead? I missed that in the news. Can you tell?
Let me go ahead and actually look up the name, because I could very well be wrong.
Yes, you could be wrong. Somebody shot a cop dead and Trump let them go free? I missed that. It's dead air, Mel, in Ohio.
Capitol Police officer who fatally shot Ashley Babbitt speaks.
Yeah, Ashley Babbitt was MAGA, was murdered by a cop. Ashley Babbitt was shot dead and murdered by a cop. Biden pardoned they let the cop go. Biden pardoned the cop that shot Ashley Babbitt dead.
But once again, so when is it okay to pardon people and when is it not? Is more what
It's
I
always
asked
okay to
for.
pardon people.
So
That's the
even if I got
power.
that
That's the
happened-
power of the presidency. You can pardon people. But he did. But you said he let a cop
again,
killer
if
go.
you
He didn't let a
find
cop
violence,
killer
it's
go.
Okay, but then when I'm sorry, let me let you speak.
He didn't. You said that Trump let a cop killer go. But what you just uncovered is that Biden let the killer of a woman go free.
You're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. I think I was mistaking it with the pedophile, and I cannot remember his
No,
name.
that's
There was a pedophile that was
no. You got that mixed up too. How long have you been? How long have you been divorced?
You think I'm old? That's so funny. Oh my god.
I didn't say
I've
no.
never even been married.
Oh, shocker! How do you think I knew that?
Well, you asked me if I was divorced, so clearly you
Why
did.
have you not been
I think
married?
that's-
What, you got a problem with men? Why have you never been married?
Because I don't see the government getting into my business. Like, why the fuck? I mean, you guys are
Okay.
against
So
big
you're
government.
with a. So you have a.
Republicans are anti-big government, but you want me to sign a document with the government.
Oh, so
right?
okay. So you're in a relationship with a man. You just don't want the government to sign off on it with a marriage.
Who said I was in a relationship with a man? I could be in a relationship with a woman.
Are you in a relationship with a woman, or are you a cat?
I am. I've been in one for 3 years now. There you go.
Okay, so you're in a lesbian relationship.
Yes.
Okay. What's her name? You're Mel. What's her name?
Her name is Polly.
Polly. Okay. That's nice. That's nice.
Yes.
But what's with all the
I'm keeping
anger?
her name-
See, I knew from the
What?
beginning. See, at the beginning of the call, when you had this ridiculous thing about the lightsaber, I said, what's your real problem with Trump, or do you just have a problem with men? You obviously have issues with men. That's why you're gay.
You uncovered the code. Clearly, I hate men. Oh my goodness. Let's just ignore the fact that, like, my dad is one of my best friends and is a constant in my life. But yep, I hate men. I'm going to see my granddad today, actually. I hate men.
What about men that you're not related to?
I love them. I compliment them all the time. I just complimented somebody's bracelet the other day.
You really love them?
I don't think
You
it
just told
matters
us you
what
love women.
genitals you have as long as you're a good person.
It doesn't matter what genitals. Oh, yeah, just like in Conclave, Steve. It doesn't matter what genitals you have. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'd be lying.
I mean, the liberals, Steve, they've lost their minds, right? That
is for sure.
I mean, what we're really this is.
You can, but in fairness, you can understand it, right? I mean, I was watching the MSNBC last night. These people are like in shock.
Yeah.
They're like, they don't know what's in them.
I know, I can tell, and our callers are unglued. Now, yesterday, Dr. Zuckerman was here from Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and after the show, I was talking to him, and he told me something I didn't even realize. I wasn't even aware of this. A lot of our listeners have been coming in as couples, married couples, have been going into Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and they've been losing weight together. And, that makes a lot of sense because you eat what your spouse eats mostly, right? I mean, you share a life together, just like Mel and her partner in Ohio. You share a life together and you eat the same stuff and you have the same type of lifestyle and habits. So it's very common for both spouses or people in the relationship to want to lose weight together. And that's a pretty amazing thing. And that's a good thing to do, is lose weight together. But I'll tell you this. You don't have to be in a relationship to lose weight. I was talking to Dr. Zuckerman, and I told him, there's a lot of things I like about having lost all this weight. But what I like the most is looking down and having a flat stomach. Like right now I'm wearing this shirt, Steve. It is form-fitting. I haven't worn this shirt in a long time. And the last time I wore it, it was like really tight. Almost, I would say almost like a girdle, almost a loose-fitting girdle, because I was getting a stomach. And now my stomach is completely flat. I look down and the shirt fits like it's supposed to fit, and it's comfortable, and there's no belly. And it's just great. I feel better. I have more energy. I look better, but I also feel better about myself when I see myself like now looking down and there's no belly. I thought that, when you started to get a belly as you get older, that was just the way it was. You couldn't get rid of it. I'd hear, your metabolism slows down. It's nonsense. I'm 54 years old. I've got a flat stomach. I lost the weight. And it's amazing. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. What is that? All right, you there, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I can't find my clock. Okay. Great. All right, we'll be back in 30 seconds. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane's here. I don't know, Steve. I think we got to start having Dr. Janae Lamaski back on the show on occasion because we got some nuts on. You know, we've been doing this for a long time. I have never heard the Democrats at such a level of insanity.
That's absolutely
today.
right.
Not in such large numbers. It's almost like a mass mental health event. And
well, it's not just today. I mean, this period is unprecedented.
You know,
I've never seen the Dems so totally demoralized.
Well, when it comes to callers, there's been individual callers that have devolved and we've had issues with, right? Where they like freak out. But it's a mass event, you know, with so many. And I'll tell you, you know, that call Tom, he says, what are you going to talk about after Trump? What did you talk about? I remember the calls. What are you going to talk about when Clinton's not president? What are you going to talk about when George W. Bush isn't president? What are you going to talk? That's a common thing we get every 4 to 8 years.
The Dems always give us plenty to talk about.
Oh my goodness! You know I mean, when you're covering the news happens every day, friends. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, I'm Damon Griffin from Alabama.
All right, Damon.
Sir?
Hey, Damon.
Hello, sir.
Yes, you're on the air.
I wanted to talk about. Yes, sir. I would like to talk about. I heard some troubling news about 2 weeks ago from. Well, I saw it on television by RFK Jr. about the children that were crossing that were crossing a border being human trafficked. I didn't know if it was 3,000. Well, it's probably thousands, hundreds of thousands of children that were gone missing over time throughout the.
Well, they're searching for the children. They're searching for the children. The number's not quite as high as believed because what they would do a lot of times. See, when the Biden administration was in, if you had a child with you, they automatically let you in. So a lot of these children would come through, and then they would take the children back to Mexico, and they'd come through again with another adult. So some of these kids have been counted 10, 20, 50 times.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But there's still a lot missing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see, that was like a huge concern to me because.
Oh yeah, sure, me too.
I do know. You see, it was one of the biggest concerns for me was human trafficking when the border was open.
Indeed.
Because see, it's just it's a sick gut feeling. You know, I mean, I really don't like to use feelings too much when it comes to politics too much because it challenges your morals and values a little bit. But when you see the type of just lack of thereof accountability.
Well, I mean, let me tell you what was going on. You know, now the border crossings are down 99.99%. The only reason they're not 100%.
I agree with that. True.
No, the president has said this, President Trump, and the reason it's not 100% is some people have come to the border who were near death, so the president let them in to get life-saving medical treatment. Okay. But what was going on at the southern border, they use this term human trafficking, and that's really a code word to cover up. It's really it's a slave trade, labor slavery. Sometimes it's sex slavery.
Yes.
Sometimes it's labor slavery. You know, I had a liberal call up today and say, well, we need these people to work in agriculture and clean hotel rooms. That's labor slavery. It's a modern day slave trade, just like from Africa. Back in those days. And that's what was going on at the southern border. But Trump stopped it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree. And then, you turn around and you see a lot of these kids, college kids, whether it be,
Indeed.
I mean, kids back in the day, they used to work at, 15, 14 years old. They probably work like a part-time job way back when. Nowadays, kids don't work. They don't get any value out of it.
Well, how can they work when they're gaming all the time? How do you expect them to work? They got games to play on the TV, on the computer. They're gamer. We got the game. Hey, listen, I appreciate your call. It took him a while for that joke to sink in from Alabama, but no, Steve, President Trump in these last 4 days has done so much. I mean, he's done.
It's breathtaking.
Oh. I mean, there's no doubt. And, what he's doing in the Middle East, when I opened the show up at 60, what I talked about is there's a few pockets around the world where there's always trouble, violence. And the Middle East is ground zero for that. There's always trouble out of the Middle East, whether it's an attack on Israel or a Muslim terrorist organization doing something somewhere. And what President Trump is doing, it started with the Abraham Accords in his first term, and now he's completing it now with this trip. And the gift of the plane to America.
Well, he's done it once, and now he is, because of circumstances, going to have to do it for a second time.
Well, and
that's just what he's doing right now.
Exactly. And what he's doing is bringing peace to the Middle East in a way that no one's even considered before. And the powers that be in the government, they do not. Oops, sorry about that. They do not want peace in the Middle East, and he's forming this coalition of allies. Qatar. This thing, Steve, when he announced he was ending the sanctions on Syria, and he may meet today with the leader of Syria. May have already done it while we're on the air. I don't know. And I know that guy used to be a terrorist, but he's the leader now. Making friends with Syria is huge. I mean, we're allied with Iraq now. you know what I mean? They used to be enemies, so why not?
Well, the big one is he's just solved the problem with Russia that's been going on that was out of control because Putin was out of control. He just got Putin back under control by taking over the oil supply through Saudi Arabia.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
I mean, he can crash.
It's genius.
Right now, after what happened yesterday, he can crash the Russian economy.
On a dime.
Yep.
On a dime. All right, let's take another call or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, you hung up on me earlier. This is Mel from Ohio.
Yeah, because we were done talking to you. It was time for a break and stuff.
Really quick, though, I found that guy's name, and I'm so sorry he was not shot. It was Brian Sicknick. That is the police officer.
Okay,
that,
he was not shot, and he didn't die he wasn't killed by a J6er.
But his attacks were
He had, was he the one, did he die of was he the one that had a heart attack?
Yeah, he was the one who had a stroke.
Okay, he had a stroke. Okay, you understand that the stroke did not happen on January 6th and was unrelated. When you have a large group, you ever been to a concert?
Yeah.
Okay, when you have a size that large, like in a concert arena, there are going to be people after that concert who die, who have heart attacks and strokes. It doesn't mean that the band killed them or the concert goers killed them. When the J6ers killed the J6ers,
and then you get E. coli, then maybe the singer did kill you.
The J6ers were all unarmed and killed no one. One person died on January 6th, Ashley Babbitt, murdered by a police. All right, I'm going to end the call. It's one call per day, but you're new to the program and you don't know the one. You can call more than once a week, but one call per day. All right, Melanie? All right, take care. Oh, my goodness. That's amazing.
She's a winner. I love that. Hope she calls again.
Well, you know what I like about Mel? Yeah, I hope she does too. She called in with vacuous talking points, and then after the call, she went and looked it up and did some research and tried. Right? She tried.
Exactly.
She tried to educate herself. But she was wrong, but she tried. All right. Let's take our break for the bottom and be right back. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes.
All right, hold on.
Are you there?
Yep. Hold on.
This is much better today.
Okay. We'll be back shortly. We're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It's the Steve Kane Show. Let's go back to our calls. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Steve. This is Nick out of Maryland.
Hey.
I wanted to... good morning. I wanted to add something here. There were 3 people that were killed that day. Ashley Babbitt was murdered by the cop, and Roseanne Boylan was was beaten to death by the Capitol Police.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman, and I don't recall the gentleman's name, but he was killed.
Yeah.
Again, beaten by the Capitol Police. So 3 people died that day.
Yeah.
Just to inform the callers that are calling in and
absolutely
saying what they're saying, you know.
Yeah. These are things they don't want to
what
deal with, Nick. All right, appreciate the call, Nick. Yeah, I mean, they just, listen, the problem... Here's the problem with January 6th, okay? And it's going to be a problem for the rest of our lives. It was over 5 years ago. The media and the liberals have already written the history of it, and it's all inaccurate. And generations of Americans are going to be like Mel there and get a lot of misinformation that they think is true. And it's a very hard thing to wake people up from. It really is. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Once again, it's Mel. Please
Mel,
don't hang up
Mel,
on me.
it's no. Listen. It's 1 call per day. I told you this on your last call. We like you as a caller. You can't call anymore today, or we'll have to ban you. All right? It's 1 call per day. All right?
Okay, I didn't
No,
hear that.
I told you on the last call. So the rest of you want to hold standby. We take all the calls screenless and unvetted, so which Steve and I prefer, but every once in a while it comes into that. You back with us, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I lost you. We don't have a lot of rules. No profanity and once per day. And you can call in every day, but only once per day. Although, once a day can be too much for some people. Okay, now there's a couple other things I wanted to touch on. We were talking yesterday, because it was the day after, about the prescription drug executive order, okay? And the media, it's like that didn't even happen now. I haven't seen that in the news since the signing, really. Have you? It's totally disappeared. And there's...
Now that you mentioned it, I didn't realize that.
You haven't seen it. Now, the reason you haven't seen it is because the pharmaceuticals spend so much money advertising on the television news. They don't feel that they can discuss it, right? That's why. But there is an update, and there's a whole bunch. President Trump signed the executive order, so it's in effect. It's happening. But he said it's going to be in the big, beautiful bill. And there's a news story developing. There's a whole bunch of Republicans in Congress who say they will not vote for it. And people are starting to panic, right? And some of these people you consider to be rhinos. I am here to tell you that the Republican Congress will pass the prescription drug reduction into the law.
One would certainly hope.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And because it's already a reality. It is the executive order, so it's done, right? The other thing about that is the public pressure on these members of Congress in both houses is going to be tremendous. Okay? It's going to be tremendous. So they're going to...
Don is going to be pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Yeah, these Republicans are acting all butch while President Trump's in the Middle East. All right? When Daddy comes home, they'll start to get in line. Okay? So it's easy to oppose Trump when he's in Saudi Arabia, I guess, for them. But here's the thing. Expect a close vote. We've got the majority, okay? And we've got the vice president. I would not be surprised if JD has to break a tiebreaker in the Senate, and it'll be close in the House. That's okay. A win is a win. Sometimes they do the count, and they let some people vote not with the party, but against it because they have to for a donor or for their constituents. We're still going to get it through. Don't worry. Don't worry. And if it goes to a tiebreaker with J.D. Vance, that's all okay. Okay? President Trump, when he comes back, it'll all be under control. A win is a win is a win. And it will happen. What the media are going to try to make you think is that this is unpopular. How can you tell people it's unpopular to reduce drug costs by as much as 400% in some instances? On average.
No, and how do you vote against the largest tax cut in the history of the country? Exactly.
You know, there were some conservatives the other day who were saying that the Congress has brought up 70% fewer bills than any other president at this point in their term. That's by design. President Trump, the reason he wants such a big bill, it's overloaded with everything that we've been talking about, the prescriptions, all these tax cuts, all these things. So if you have a bunch of tiny bills, it's easier for them to oppose it. There are things in the big, beautiful bill that they can't oppose. They're not going to be able to take out the tax cuts. They're not going to be able to take out the reduction in the prescription medication. They may whine and complain about it, but they're not going to be able to take it out. You want to have fewer bills that are bigger with as much of our stuff in there, because it's not just that President Trump is representative of the American majority of the voters because he just won the national election. The things that he is doing are universally accepted nonpartisan issues, like the prescription reduction. Like right now, if you look online, it's filled with people like Jasmine Crockett a couple years ago complaining that we got to bring down the drug prices. We got to take down the pharmaceuticals. They got to reduce their prices. People can't afford their pills. And this goes all the way back to every Democrat that's been in Washington for more than a year. Okay? So it's something that even the Democrats are going to have a hard time opposing, right? How can a Democrat vote no on a bill that reduces drug cost on people? The poorest of the poor will benefit the most. You know, so many people have health insurance, prescription drug plans, Medicare, Medicaid, and a prescription plan, but there's a medication that's not covered, and it's $500 a month or $2,000 a month. And either they do without or they suffer and do without things like food to get it. They're not. So don't worry about what you're hearing. These Republicans are all going to be on board, and it's going to pass. Okay? And the Democrats are really in a catch-22. Steve, it's too soon to make a prediction about the midterms, but it's quite possible that we gain in the House in the midterms. It really is. It is very possible because President Trump is doing things in such a different way that's never been done before. By putting things in like the prescription. You know, another one is, it seems minor. I know I mention it a lot, but it's so big. You know, if you're a homeowner, you can deduct the interest on your mortgage from your income tax. The taxes that President Trump is putting in the big, beautiful bill are taxes that are tax cuts to people that never get them because they don't pay income tax. No tax on tips.
Well, I thought it all went to oligarchs.
Yeah, no. It goes to the working poor, hourly workers. You know, this deducting the interest off your auto loan, right, on an American-made vehicle, that is huge. You know, auto loans are high interest rates for a lot of people. So if somebody has a non-prime auto loan, right, with a secondary lender with a high interest rate, they'll be able to deduct that interest on their auto loan if it's on an American-made car, okay, from their income taxes. People are going to get returns that never get returns because of what Trump's doing, and big returns. Okay, when President Trump and the MAGA team start making the case to pass the big beautiful bill, which they're not ready for yet because the bill's still being put together.
Well, yeah, but you're forgetting that they have David Hogg on their side.
Well, they fired David Hogg. They removed him from his position.
I guess he doesn't. Now that I think about it, I guess you're right. They don't have Hogg on their side.
You know who I think did? I think James Carville got him out, and I think it was Carville and Bill Maher. He went on Bill.
Well, by the way, don't look for that to that small detail to slow Hogg down in his attempts to destroy the Democratic Party. He's not going anywhere. He's an egomaniac.
Yeah, he is. You know,
and a narcissist.
And he is a narcissist to the millionth degree. And he doesn't realize that the Parkland kids were only being used by the Democrats, right, on a gun control issue. They weren't, he's the only one of the Parkland kids who you even hear from anymore. They're not supposed to be a part of the process. And he went on Bill Maher's show over the weekend, and Bill Maher humiliated him. And he went on with James Carville and was so condescending. He was so disrespectful to James Carville. And James Carville is a big deal in the Democrat Party. People don't realize it. You see him on TV, and he's laying in bed in a hotel room doing a television interview. But he's a super delegate at the conventions, and he's got a lot of influence with top Democrats. And when he behaved, David Hogg, when he behaved the way he did with James Carville started calling in some favors with the Clintons and some of those people. And that's why he's out. Bill Maher played a part in it too, but it was mostly James Carville.
Well, so you think he's going to still be an important part of what goes from here for the Democrats?
No, I think he's going to be a big mouth who tries to go viral on social media, but he's out and he'll never be back. He went against the big people in the Democrat Party and they got rid of him. Now, I want to tell people, we had Jupiter Joe Thomas in studio yesterday, and we talked about a lot of things. But, I don't know why everyone's not in annuities. With annuities, I keep getting this question, Steve, from listeners. How's your 401k? How's your 401k? I don't have a 401k. I'm not in the stock market. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you guys that you should be or not, but I used to be, but I couldn't handle the ups and downs of the stocks. It was too anxiety-inducing to me, And the media are always pushing it on you. You know what I mean? And I just couldn't live that way. With annuities, no matter what happens in the stock market, your savings, your nest egg is safe. There could be a complete collapse of the market. Your nest egg in an annuity is safe. And not only that, you're generating an income stream during your retirement for the rest of your life. And Joe Thomas is offering free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located in the United States. And we have listeners from all over America that have become very happy clients with Joe Thomas. Give him a call. Here's his number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website. It's right there, and it's easy to remember. JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back. Hey, William, hold on. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Stand by. Steve, you there? Steve?
Yes.
Okay, stand by. I'm going to conference in William. Stand by. All right, William, stand by. We'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Okay, call me.
No. We're after the show. Hold on. We're coming back. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane's here. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman in Boca with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking lower today, giving us another buying opportunity at the lower end of the trading ranges, Brian. Yesterday, we saw gold trade in a range of $32.24 all the way up to $32.58, closing out the day up $12.50. at $3,249.20 the ounce. Silver was up 29 cents at $32.88. Platinum gained $10 at $9.88. And palladium was up $4 at $9.36. Today we've got lower markets giving us a buying opportunity. As we said, gold down about $39 right now at $3,210 the ounce. Silver down 38 cents at $32.50. Platinum up $4 at $9.91. And palladium up $10 at $9.46. So the market's kind of all over the place, but again, gold trading at the lower end of its trading ranges of late. So
what are things are looking good. It's a good time to buy. And how is it looking on premiums with some of the most popular gold products like pre-33 gold?
Everything premium-wise is either at normalities or below normal. I mean, we've got pre-33 gold at the lowest levels ever. We've got all of the bullion gold coins at very low premiums right now. So good buying opportunity from the standpoint of your premiums paying much less. We still have a sale for Steve Kane listeners on 90% silver coins at just the silver value, melt value, no premium.
Wait a second.
Very unusual.
Hold on a second here, because you should have led with that one, William Youngerman. This is amazing because a couple years ago, this was really. So what was that? The 90% silver?
90% silver coins at no premium to silver. So great buying opportunity for our Steve Kane listeners.
And for those that don't know, can you tell people quickly what 90% silver coins are? These are like some of my favorites. They're a lot of fun and amazing.
Yeah, these are the old coins that from dated 1964 and earlier, when we were on a more of a silver standard, and our coins were made out of 90% silver. And so you can now buy those coins as a silver investment, which is a very popular way to buy silver at no premium over silver.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them, like the $half and things, the Frank. There's so many great 90%. So those of you that are 90% silver people, it's time to fill up that box, right? Because I know a lot of you working on your box with your Franklins or whichever. This is the time. William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You could stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And you can give them a call after 10, toll free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, and online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, take care. That 90% silver, Steve, you would love the 90% silver. It's really cool. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, I didn't realize I was still on the phone with you. I thought I hung up, being honest with you.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jay from Jersey.
Oh, hey, Jay.
I was listening to you earlier, and some woman named Sue came on, and you had just finished talking to a man, telling him that he was doing something illegal by knowing illegal immigrants. It just kills me how all of a sudden your mind goes blank. You know history about everything. You know the Constitution. You know everything. But it doesn't bother you. It depends on what color you are or who you are to when it applies to people. Now, Donald Trump had nothing but illegal people working in all of his buildings, all of his golf courts. They did a whole TV show on it and had them bring their uniforms with them. But that don't bother you.
Okay.
Why is that?
Okay, I'm going to answer all your questions, okay? I'm going to go in reverse. We'll start with our favorite president, our greatest president, Donald Trump. What they found is there were some undocumented illegal aliens who were committing identity fraud and illegally got employment using Social Security cards and such that were not theirs. So they committed fraud to get the job. Then there was another group that had work visas that were legal from out of state. President Trump never knowingly hired illegals.
Yes, he did. And he still has them.
Well, then you
That's what they showed that he still has illegal Mexicans and stuff working for him.
Oh, so you support illegals, so you support him doing that? I don't understand what your point is.
Of course not. Listen, I support them getting rid of some of them. I just don't support the fact that you grabbed up 300 of them.
Jay,
and
first
put
of
them in a
all,
prison
first of all,
for the rest of their lives.
First of all, if Donald Trump had illegal aliens working for him, okay, the news media would be camped out in front of that place, showing them and talking about it endlessly.
They did a whole thing on CNN.
Oh, CNN. CNN. Oh, I see.
They had the uniforms in their hand where they worked for Donald Trump on his golf course.
So just because
that doesn't matter to you.
Just because you have the uniform doesn't mean you work there.
Oh, then them people are frauds.
Like for example, I could go online on eBay and buy a Hooters girl's uniform. It doesn't mean I was a Hooters girl.
But just a minute ago, you wanted to get that man arrested for knowing people who was here illegally. But it doesn't bother you that Trump had thousands of illegal people working for him.
He did not have thousands. He did not knowingly.
Because
it's not true. Because what you said is not true.
Oh my God. You know you are retarded. It doesn't make any sense that you can't believe nothing.
Well,
How do you know this? You are brainwashed.
That means I believe everything. The double negative.
Y'all are brainwashed. You're brainwashed.
We're brainwashed. But you're telling us you're saying?
You are brainwashed. Y'all have went totally retarded. Y'all all took the short school bus. It doesn't bother you that he had thousands of illegal people
because he
working
didn't.
in his
if there were illegals working for him, they were committing fraud and he didn't know it.
He didn't know it. He paid them cheap wages.
No, he didn't.
You were not there. Why do you think you know everything?
You said some people had a uniform. What does that mean?
They all worked for Trump. They brung their pay stubs. They were on the TV. They showed us.
If they had pay stubs, that means they had Social Security numbers. They were committing identity fraud.
No, they didn't. Trump didn't, man.
You don't give
cheap labor.
You don't give. Excuse me.
Labor.
You don't. When you don't. You don't.
You don't hear Steve saying nothing because Steve knows that this happened.
No, he doesn't.
You know it too.
If you have pay stubs, that means
you know it too.
If you have pay stubs, that means you have a Social Security number. How does an illegal have a Social Security number?
They got illegal Social Security numbers. We all know that.
Okay, so the criminals are the illegals that are passing themselves off with fraudulent employment documents. Don't you see the difference?
Why can't you believe anything? Why do you do that?
There's a difference between knowingly and unknowingly having them work for him.
But let me ask you a question. You live in Florida in your house with your wife. How is it that you know so much about what Donald Trump does in his house and who he sleeps with and everything? How do you know all this stuff?
I have my ways.
I need to know.
I have my ways. Hey, appreciate the call. Steve, I'm telling you, they're losing their minds, man.
Sure they are.
They are losing their minds. You know,
it's going to get worse before it gets better for them.
I don't know. I mean, we need to be advertising mental health resources around here, or put together a support group, or
service announcement,
something. You've heard the level of mental collapse on the phones at different. They're at different stages, right? I mean, was that Jay from Jersey or Renee? I get those guys mixed up, but that was sad. That was really sad. And the high-pitched voice, it was just a mess. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Steve and Brian. Good morning. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, Steve. I think we might agree or find some common ground in the, that Democrats as a whole, as a party, really,
yes.
They are the party of produced reality. The military definition would be engineered reality.
They're on the verge of the extinction.
Yeah, they are. They're the propaganda party that's that's hopefully going away, never to be seen again. But we the people, the Trump MAGA party, we are the party of actual reality. And I understand the resistance by a lot of people out there about Qatar or Syria, especially because of what's his name, Ahmed, what the leader of Syria, what he did in the past. We had once resistance to Japan and Germany. We had a civil war, good one over evil.
Well, what about England? I mean, look at England.
Time.
I mean, England, it was we had fought 2 wars with England, and they burned down the White House.
Yep, and there's a time and a place where everything is what I'm getting to. We have to consider our goals. The way that I look at the Middle East is 2 goals. One is to secure the safety and survival of Israel, and number 2 is that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon, and number 2 pretty much secures number 1. So to me, Syria is sort of like Russia during World War II. We're making friends with them. It's a power move to secure a, sort of a binding relationship and to help isolate Iran. So it's a power move by the prince, the Saudi prince, to get. He's showing power to this guy, from Syria, Ahmed. I think his name's Shara or Sherry or whatever the hell it is. He's showing sort of power. I've got the most powerful leader in the world, President Donald J. Trump, here, and I've got you this meeting. So I'm the boss. I'm the big guy for you, but this is the big guy. So they're just kind of, it's like, I think you had said, it's sort of like Trump is forming like an unofficial. It's not like NATO. It's more unofficial, but I think it's even more powerful because the one thing these guys in the Middle East that it's the most important thing to them is face and power. It is the power that's what they respect.
Well,
they
and also,
weakness.
Unlike Europe, I mean, we were just we were talking about gold with William Youngman. They have black gold, oil, right? And these are wealthy nations, and the United States, we have more oil than any of them. And it makes sense that we should be partners with them because they want us to be partners because we are such players on the oil market, not just as consumers but producers. We may end up being an OPEC nation. I'm telling you, we could very well end up being an OPEC nation.
What the countries in the Middle East are seeing, but not, in the Middle East because they're directly there, but the rest of the world is also seeing is that it's a good idea to be respectful and play ball with the United States of America.
That's right.
And Iran is slowly going to be,
they're going to be marginalized. They're going to be totally marginalized. Trump's going to make friends with Putin, with Syria, with these countries. Iran's going to be a place alone. Hey, I appreciate the call. Oh, before we go, Steve, I want to remind everyone, Father's Day is just a few weeks away. Go to MyPillow.com. Get the MyPillow slippers. They're $90 off with our promo code Kane at checkout. And they have a whole bunch of sizes that are big and wide for bigger guys. They're great. A great and perfect Father's Day gift are the MyPillow My Slippers. I have them. Steve has them. They're so comfortable. And they're made for all-day wear. You can wear them to work. You can wear them to the store. You can wear them out and about as well as at home. $90 off with our promo code Kane at checkout. Kane at MyPillow.com. Well, that's all the time we have for today, Steve. Tomorrow will be Thursday, and the Trump derangement syndrome is really peaking. I thought we saw the worst of it. I guess every day that Trump has a good news day, they're going to devolve a little bit more.
Which is pretty much every day now.
Yeah, this is the golden age of America. It really is. And
he travels with Fox News going from speech to speech.
Yeah, and it's going to be another great day today. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Steve Kane, of course, has been here. My name is Brian Craig. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump. See you tomorrow at 6 a.m. All right, guys. I got a busy day. Thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, all right? And if you're already subbed, please like the video. And if you don't mind sharing on your socials, that'd be great too. All right, I'm Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you next time.